Okay, hello everybody. How are you? Welcome to Spiritually Raw. And as always, thank you so much for your energy exchange with us today. And we hope you woke to the most miracle morning and are also having the most fortunate day today. So, our soul sister today, Chella Smith, a lot of you probably already seen her out there. If you haven't, you're going to be seeing a lot more of her. She's really helping us on our journey in life, okay, because she's really tagging on to the whole prosperity thing. And she's got some stuff specifically to what a lot of you are really tapping into on the foreign currency trends, right? So she can talk to us about that, maybe help clear up some misconceptions and, what's real, what do we need to be aware of, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. We're going to get there in a minute with Chella. So thanks again, as always, for hanging out with us. Links will always be in the description below. Remember, you can always download us and watch it here and also on Roku TV. And what else?
And for everyone, if you could please just take a quick second and hit the like button, the subscribe button, and make sure to do the same on Chella's YouTube channel. It's right there, Newsroom with Chella Smith. Click on her link. Make sure you subscribe to her. You guys are going to love the way that she presents the news. It's so professional. You are so professional.
You're like a legitimate reporter.
Thank you so much.
Like I saw that, I was like, holy smokes, what are we going to do?
Well, I love doing the news. I was a spectator once upon a time ago, and I was listening in on calls, and I am a factual based type of person. I need to have a foundation, and so I couldn't ever get just the facts, without everybody's opinion. And, I'm busy. I have kids and a husband, and I am, working in my garden, and I meditate a lot. So I needed to I want to get in and out, I just want to get the facts. Mm-hmm. And I figured there was a lot of people also like me that just give me the
fat out of the equation. Just give me the beef. Give me the facts. I don't need all. Right.
Yeah. And we see a lot of the political back and forth with a lot of the calls that you hear. But I also realized that as I was getting all the IRAQI information from writing over to the news and getting all them to send them to me directly, to my email, that there was a lot that we wasn't hearing. And I was frustrated because I just wanted to hear that. And on these calls, I was kind of, I don't knock the calls. I don't knock anybody on them because they are consistent. Each and every person that's trying to bring stuff to the table, they are doing their diligence. I give them all the credit. But I just really want facts.
Yeah.
So I, once upon a time ago, so let me tell you how I even got involved. Okay. So I've had quite a few medical issues along my journey in life. I'm 43 years old. I've had 63 surgeries. Most of them were bladder related. I was going into surgery every 3 months for a bladder condition, interstitial cystitis of the bladder. And, I wasn't very consistent with my dieting and stuff like that. And I met up with a doctor. He was a nutritionist that basically said, we're going to need to get you on fruits and vegetables and eating more from the ground because we are earthlings. And it'll make a great impact. So I didn't have anything to lose. So I started doing this. And sure enough, it's been over a year since I've been in surgery. And I'm doing really well, although I'm still having complications, but I'm managing them a lot better now. So
you're always putting up keto-friendly recipes.
That is a lot to do with my new system because one of the surgeries I had to have was bioduct. My bioduct wasn't opening and closing properly, and I was building up a sludge from too fatty foods, and I was having pancreatitis attacks, and my medical was ongoing. So I started the low carb. I was introduced to fruits and vegetables. I was learning which carbs are higher carbs, which ones are lower carbs, and I made it a part of my life and my lively routine. And it's helped me and others. So that's where the healthy eating comes. That's where it involves in my life. So, and I want everybody to feel that they can always reach out if they need tips, because if you find me on Facebook, I do have a folder under there that's public. You don't even have to be my friend to see the folder. And it shows you all kinds of cool tips that I add in there.
Oh, that's
Meals
cool.
tips.
Now, did you get your family, your husband, and your kids on this keto food train?
Absolutely, because it's healthy. It's not just about losing weight anymore or anything like that. It's about staying healthy, getting the vitamins, minerals, and nutrition that your body absolutely needs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
For sure. Well, you look fabulous.
Yeah, you do. And really, just God bless you for having the strength and working through it and sharing this inner part of yourself at a personal level to help so many people. So hopefully people watching can get a breakthrough here. I want to really, we wanted to bring you on really because, you know, you're a big advocate and really about the facts, as you mentioned. You know, we've got the privilege to watch your show and it's very well done. I really hope everybody watching does check it out. It's a level of reporting, everybody. You'll see when you get there. So, you know, we personally, April and myself, really believe in that, that abundance is here now, right? Like we're starting to manifest this here. So I think it's a very appropriate time to bring you out here right now because we feel it can be manifested. I know you talk about foreign currency, so if I can go there with you for a minute, Chella, so you know, obviously there's been a lot of that whole it's happening this Friday, but maybe Monday, but you got to know the guy that knows the guy who lives in Las Vegas that, you know, maybe is a cousin of the doctor who does this, but you know what? It's okay. It'll happen. Send me the money. So that story, right? So, you know, that's just never ending well. First of all, you talk to us about the revaluation process in and of it is that should people, number one, I'm assuming that you believe in it is that there is something to it.
Yes, I do. So I believe there's a couple scenarios that we have going on. One of the scenarios is that there may be a global currency reset. And if that's the case, and that's one of our scenarios, then I'm looking at a realistic point of view where everything would dollar out across the board, right? Now, do I know that this is going to happen? Absolutely not. Not on a global currency reset stage. Do I believe that it would help balance our economies globally? Absolutely, yes. And so then you have the second scenario is, will the Iraqi dinar detach themselves from the basket and reinstitute on their own? And that's why I picked the Iraqi news, because I realize that Iraq is doing their diligence to get back to an international stage since their attack on Kuwait and being put in sanctions, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking at a place right now where Iraq has taken many steps. Do we see political back and forth stalemate of their country? Yes, we are. We're seeing two people fight with each other, basically. And that's what you're seeing in the news. And you're seeing them go back and forth. Now, what's going to happen from this? Eventually, they're going to get rid of the older politicians. They're going to place a new government, new banking, new governor, you know, and they're going to move forward. And you're going to see and they don't really need that, but they do need it in another sense because they need the new oil and gas laws, and they need some stability put in place. Okay. And once they're working towards that. Okay. They are working towards that. And so I got some notes out because I wanted to touch base on some of my notes. I think it will be great. And I want to thank you guys for having me on the show. I want to thank all your audience for being here. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So what we're seeing just recently, the Satirist Group has entered into the green zone. Okay.
We'll get back up. I'm sorry. The what group?
The Satirist Group in Iraq. Okay. So we have two different groups. We have Maliki's group, and then we have the Satirist Group.
Yeah.
They're kind of at each other, like, obviously, they both of them want power, right? So they're going to do whatever they can. So the people of Iraq really probably needed to go into the green zone with a peaceful protest, you know, and to say we need change. We need change because we don't want to continue to live the poor that they're living when they really are bringing in enough oil assets to be able to compensate for, you know, their housing and their food and new businesses and stuff over in Iraq. So real
quick, I want to just tag on something you just said. a while ago, sometime last year, somebody posted pictures of Iraq in the 1960s, and it was blew my mind because we don't ever picture or think that it's like that. It was a booming, very wealthy, very high-end society.
Yes.
We've never seen that side of it. We see it as, just war, destruction. What's that?
You see it as a battlefield.
As a battlefield. And
Mhm.
looking at these pictures, the pictures were in black and white, and the women were dressed to the nines with the designer clothes, and you saw all the beautiful architecture. And
Yes.
like, I was just staring at it, like, when was that? What happened?
And that's interesting that you bring that up, because they have other things other than oil going for them. They're bringing in, tourist attractions, and they're bringing in other businesses, and they're making deals with the energy companies. And so they are bringing in manufacturing places. So they're bringing in another means outside of the oil industry into Iraq also. So it's interesting that you brought that up. I'm glad that you did bring it up, because not many people know it.
Is that a challenge for them, the tourism aspect of it? Because I don't know if that's on many people's wish list and say, I'd like to go to Iraq, to take my family there for a summer vacation. Or is it? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because you have, ISIS, and that they're trying to get rid of ISIS out so that way it can be safe. And so that's a lot of the reasons why they said that the United States was over there. So, yeah, but so what we're seeing right now is we're looking for them to get rid of the OPEC out of the controlling, you got to get away from OPEC. You got to get away from the pro-Iranians. You have to get away from, these old politicians that have already revalued. They've already gotten rich. They don't really care about the people underneath them. And they want the same policies that they already have, which is not working for the Iraqis.
Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts of our military being there? Because you went like that. So do you see it differently?
So without putting a lot of speculative information out, I think that they're at the tip of they're at the top of, if we're going to have a domino effect, they're at the top. And once they tip over, we're just, it's going to be a domino effect. And I think that when I started joining the Iraqi news, I needed material to use to start editing and reading off of my teleprompter and this and that. And I was kind of helping me help you, help us learn the data that we needed to learn. And I think that the military there, in my own opinion, I think that we're always in everybody else's business.
Exactly.
And the fight is the purchasing of the oil, the dollar that we purchase the oil with. And so that's why I feel like the United States is always involved in everything. And now they have competition, in the world, because now you have China and Russia, you know what I mean? And you're seeing a shift, And I think that we, United States, are just in a lot of people's businesses. And
I couldn't agree. I think you could.
And I think there's a lot of secrets also, with the world trade and, without getting hooked off of the YouTube and other places.
What do you think about, okay, let me ask you this then. So there's, and again, thanks for doing this, okay? But there's a lot of people out there that are buying this, and they're like, they're falling into that whole any weekend thing or any day thing, right? So they're still, you're here to obviously push back on that and be like, hey, just give it a minute. I can feel your vibe on that. But what about those scenarios? Because we've actually seen them, and ourselves, where people are reaching out to us, and we're like, I don't even respond to it, but they're like, hey, we're sending our money to this people because these people have it. If and when this does happen, will it be an open market system like any other currency exchange, or do you legitimately have to know the guy that knows the guy?
So that's a great point to bring up, and a great question at the same time, because this is what I believe, in my opinion. I believe that this is going to not be a secret. I believe that it will be in the bank's control. The bank is who is the CBI, the Central Bank of Iraq, is who's going to control the exchange rate of Iraq. If I have any of my currencies that revalue, I'll look on Forex, I'll look on the CBI site, and if I see that they have a positive number of 1 cent, right? I'm going to go into the largest bank that I can find, and I don't care which one it is, probably the first one along my journey to the bank. Okay. And I'm going to take my highest denomination of each currency that I see on Forex that has revalued over 1 cent, and I'm going to start my exchange process.
You're saying when it hits 1 penny, you're off to the bank.
Yes. Yes.
And you can experience what that experience is like, right?
Yes. Yes. Now I'm not going to take all my currencies because I know that if Iraq reinstitute, they'll probably start off at like $1 because obviously they have to, compete internationally. And we have $1, dollar is pretty much the standard everywhere. We're competing on $1, so I think that what will happen is you'll see Iraq go to $1, and then a couple of days later they'll go to what their actual asset is supposed to be at for their country's dollar. So I really believe, in my opinion, that the bank will. Okay, first of all, let's be realistic here. Okay, I'm not going to go to a redemption center unless inside of this big bank says redemption on the door. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me, and they're going to have to do their own diligence, and they're going to have to learn their own lessons. But I definitely wouldn't go to some office down the street to exchange my dollars to my bank account or for my paycheck. So I'm definitely not going to go to a private place, and I'm not going to give anybody else control of my money. I would definitely not say, oh, here's $100,000 of my money. Can you go and can you hold it for me? And then whatever the rate is, give me this much, because I've heard of SKRs too. I think that they're really dangerous. And I think that people that are trying to get these, I'm personally going to stay away from that kind of stuff. So there is some areas. Now, have I invested in the dong as well? Yes, I've invested in the Zimbabwe. It's a bond. Now that's not a currency. It's a bond. It's a land bond. Okay. So if they ever do exchange those in, if you look them up, they say that they exchange them for $1 par. If they exchange those in. So you always have to keep that in the back of your mind. So I look at these like lottery tickets. You bought into the lotto.
Yes, that is the best way to look at it.
I don't count on it for my bills on the first of the month. I don't count on it for my future adventures, although I do have a humanitarian project put together for in case if there's a chance that say we do have a global currency reset and everything dollar pars out. Well, and maybe they will put caps and limitations on some of them, because some of the bonds are extremely high bonds, like the $100 trillion Zim note, for example. That's a lot of money. That's going to make people ultra affluently rich, and you're never going to live off of that money. You're going to live off the interest. You'll never even touch the principal. And with that being said, I know that I come from a background of doing charities and helping out my community and bringing awareness that my background is in diving, and I suffer from PTSD from all the procedures in the hospital and some of the tragic moments of the 63 times being in there. So I'm a diver. I'm a pro diver. I have my dive master diver, rescue, and search. I have a lot of different, qualifications, and I want to open up a dive arena because we don't have one in the United States. That's a very deep diving facility that treats post-traumatic stress disorder, cardiovascular, because I've been doing a lot of reading into this. They've been treating people in diving, water therapy. It's our element's my element of where I feel the most recalibrated once I'm in it. And so I want to open up a facility that, number one, treats the PTSD, and then and disability, and the other side that gets you your certifications all the way up to instructor. I'm not quite a open water instructor yet, but I'm a couple classes away.
Nice, that's awesome. I love your philosophy. You're very pragmatic. And this is something to take that whole mindset of do not spend the rest of your life waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen and put the rest and everything else you're doing on hold. We hear so many times, oh my gosh, when it revalues, we're going to move. We're going to
Everybody holds up their lives. Everybody holds up their lives.
I'm going to become more spiritual. I'm going to start a foundation. It's all preface said. It's heartbreaking.
It really is.
We hear story after story after story of people.
When this revalues, they will start their life.
Right.
Because that's what they've been sold.
That's so dangerous.
Wow. It's still out there and amazing in 2022 that people are still drinking that Kool-Aid, isn't it?
Yep, it is. And it frustrates me sometimes when I hear a lot of people say they're going to start becoming humanitarians when this happens. Well, you should start becoming a humanitarian now. You know, I didn't just wake up and say, oh, I'm going to get to Zimbabwe. I need a project. I need to hurry up and put something together. And this is so I can get a higher rate, because this is the stuff that's being fed by some of these calls. And so people are like, oh, I have to have this humanitarian project. And then you ask them, well, what have you done in the past that is, been service to others? You know what I mean? Instead of service to yourself, because I hear a lot of service to myself. I have to do this humanitarian project so that way I can get a higher rate, when really that's not how this works. And that's not what's going on. So what will happen is the way you get the higher rates is by leaving your money into the bank for a longer period of time in interest-bearing accounts that are either it's a trust interest-bearing account or whatever way, but over a length of time. So I see a lot of structure being put into a bunch of webs.
I got you. What do you think about like the theory of like people talk about like where when and if they do revalue, and again, listen, I mean that's the healthiest way to look at it, is like a lottery ticket or a bond or whatever, if and when, whatever it's there, but don't give up your day job right now. What about if they talk about like this dropping the zeros before they actually change the currency? What does that mean to people? And is that
in Iraq, right?
Right. So like if you got like a $25,000 or $25,000, if you would.
Great question.
So
when they reinstitute, they're going to need a lot of the money back that you guys have. And that's the whole purpose of buying the money back from you guys. They're basically, you're buying it from them right now. But when they become on an international stage, they're going to need all those notes, all those currencies back. So that way they can borrow against them. Their government can borrow against them with, the World Bank and stuff. So when this happens, they're not going to go ahead and put back out these high increments. They're going to get rid of those increments, and you're going to see 1s, 5s, 20s, 100s instead of the 25,000. That does not mean that they're going to take 3 zeros off of your exchange dollar, because that wouldn't make sense, right? You bring in 25,000, you get back 25, dollars. Yeah, that clearly doesn't make sense. And a lot of people do get that confused. But I am letting you know that that's not what they're saying. They're just saying they're going to remove them out of circulation, so that way they're not continuing to be bought. And then they're going to replace them with 1s, 5s, 100s, whatever their lower denominations, and change in coins. Kind of like the United States system.
Exactly. Here's the other reason why your message is so awesome. Not only are you pragmatic, but you're very common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like seriously, you're hearing it now from an expert. She's saying, if you're going to, when this time comes, you're going to be exchanging in a bank.
Like normal people.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like normal
how
things.
you make.
Now, I will make a few exceptions. Let me tell you the exception that I will be making. So we're seeing a lot of renovations with bigger banks like HSBC, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. You're seeing them shut down some of these buildings, and they're opening up where it says wealth, Wells Fargo wealth, or wealth management, and blah, 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 blah. I think some of these banks, and this is only I'm thinking, is maybe the banks that you'll probably end up going to for these exchanges, because I heard from a banker that you will be going to a corporate office for these larger exchanges.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get a PBA, a personal banking assistant. That's not your bank teller. You're going to be getting a relationship manager. You're going to be getting people that are higher up than just your bank manager at the bank. and you'll start dealing with them, and they'll be able to come to your home office, when this is said and done. Now, this depends on how much money you're actually exchanging in. Also, if you're exchanging over $1 million or under $1 million, you know what I mean, that it'll be based off of what your
professional opinion at this point in time, when people, and then it's out there, we all see it. At this point in time, is there any reason, and I know people got to learn their own lessons, but is there any reason that people should be sending their money or currency to anybody because they in turn will be first in line? Is there like this whole first in line, second in line, third, like first, like tier system, if you would, I think is how it's.
Okay, so I hear a lot of the tier system stuff. I've never found any factual database to support these theories. Okay, do I hear about them? Yes. Am I very I'm withdrawn from that whole system. Okay, I really truly am withdrawn from it, and I think that I would never be giving my money to anybody. And when I listen to a lot of the calls, they're like, yeah, they're talk about the Zimbabwe, Zim, but bring all your currencies. You know what I mean? Because what's going to happen? What I speculate to happen with some of these people that are looing. Okay, so the bankers are not your friends. Okay, although that we want them to be our friends, and we do have relationships with our bankers down at the corner store bank. Yeah, those people are your friends. But the higher up banking people are not your friends, and there's going to be good bankers and bad bankers, just like anywhere else that you have in the world. You have good and bad, and some of these bad relationship bankers, they're trying to get the money back from you, the money that you got. Not only did you buy it, but they're trying to get it back. So we have to be careful and use discernment, especially when taking all your currencies into the bank. You don't want them to walk off with your currency and then come back and say, well, we just put them through the machine, and only 39 of the 40 $25,000 notes were real. What do you mean? Let me see. And then you start shaking and you're feeling like, oh God, what's happened here? So I highly recommend for people to make sure that they've written down all of their notes, or if you have a home printer, you make copies of them on your home printer, not on somebody else's printer, not on because at the end of the day, I'm going to end up getting rid of my printer. I'm going to dispose of it myself to make sure that nobody else can get access to it for my serial numbers. You know what I'm saying? So I really believe that everybody should keep their own currency. They should be doing their own exchanges, unless there is some reason that you're disabled and you really can't get in there, that you would sign over a power of attorney to an attorney, or seek a professional tax advisor, a professional advisor, a professional lawyer, somebody like that can help assist you. Maybe
there's an interesting thing to this, is like for people who
sure.
think it's like a because there's always that, oh, this is a scam, it's too good to be blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Again, number one, what you said, listen, just put it away, and if it happens, great, whatever, but don't do your thing. But then there's got to be something to it in it that so many people are trying to get it out of people's hands right now. You know what I mean? And that's what makes me think that there might be actually something to this, because people are saying, send it to me. What else would they have to gain if there wasn't anything there, right?
Yeah, and that's where they offer you them safekeeping receipts, where they say, we'll give you 5 cents, because so many people have been waiting since the old revaluation when Saddam Hussein was in office, right? And he revalued at $3.22. And so they're like, well, I know it can happen because it's already happened, technically. So, and it's happened several times, and so then you're like, well, I bought so you bought 10 million, or maybe you bought 10,000 United States dollars for dinar, which is a significant amount of dinar. Maybe it's in the 5-6 million range of dinar, right? Just for say, I don't know how much people paid for their dinars, but for say, and they're like, well, I just want this to be over with, so I'm going to give it to this person. They're promising me 25 cents on the dollar. I don't encourage that. A lot of these people, you're making private contract deals, and once you sign these private contracts, you're in bind with those people, and nobody can really save you.
Wow.
And contracts are meant to be broken.
What's that?
Contracts are meant to be broken. They're designed to be broken, so that way it's void and on, and then they just get to take everything. So
it's interesting. It's like, because people want this to happen, obviously. I mean, or is there? In a 5D economy, it can't happen, in my opinion. as it is in heaven, right? So it can totally happen here. But again, it's just making, being smart about it. I mean, there's a lot of, again, walking through those traps is going to be very easy at this point. So step one, you say, would be like, listen, would you say that don't quit your day job, don't count on it today, tomorrow, or anything like that? Would you
Yes,
agree?
absolutely. Everybody should be working their regular jobs. They should be paying their bills as scheduled. You should not depend on the dinar, the dong, the Zimbabwe, the, El Salvador, any currencies. There's supposed to be like 213 currencies. That's a lot of different countries. They have to be in compliance for the global currency reset. Well, at the same time, I need to make sure that my life is in order, and if this and when it happens, then I count my eggs in that basket at that time. But we're not going to count our eggs in a basket that haven't showed up yet. And I think a lot of people get behind with this because they're listening to calls and they really want to believe these people because, they're giving all this information. Some of them are giving military intel, some are in that have military contacts. Some people are giving banking information, which it sounds really good and structured. And people need to take what they're learning from it, write it down, but no, I'm not giving my money to anybody. I'm not going into a private building down the street that's within 80 miles of my house. I'm not going to do that because that is not safe. Okay. Do I think in the back of my mind that they can be setting people up saying, yeah, you're going to get paid all this money for the Zimbabwe and your funds are going to settle. And they're all worried about the Zimbabwe. But make sure you put all the rest of your money in the bank, and I think that that's where, and in a couple of days, that money is going to be gone. It can happen. And so
that's a lot of questions. Okay, hold on. There's a couple things in there. Okay, the banks. Let me write.
One thing for sure that I want to say is, I'm not going to sit and wait for any money to clear. When I open up an international currency account to put my dinars inside of there, my money is going to show up right then. Now, whether I'm allowed to take it all, because depending on the bank and how much assets they actually are carrying in that bank, whether or not they can cash me out for the full amount. Say I took a $25,000 note in and they say, well, we can only give you like 5,000 of it. That's all we have at the bank. Okay, I understand. I might take, whatever I need, again, we want to stay underneath the FinCEN report because you just created a FinCEN report, putting the money into the bank. You don't want to create another one, taking it back out. That's 2 in one day. It's 2 points against you. You know what I mean? So we want to do it in a very normal way, and so therefore that's why I'm only taking one currency in at a time. And of my highest denomination, I'll let it get into the bank, especially if it's a reinstitution of the dinar, and I'll wait a few days. Let me read you guys something I put together.
Thank you.
Find it here because I put something a little together. I've been listening to a lot of different bankers and their how they'd like to how they structure. And I like to listen to bankers because bankers have a lot of great information, right? They work there, they've been there, they know what the process is. Mm-hmm. So I've taken a little bit of that with Guru's banking information and everything, and I've gone into the bank myself and I've asked, what do I need to? What are my next steps? Say the Iraqi dinar is no longer on the B list because there's an A list. That's the currencies that they're exchanging in the bank. And then there's the B list. Say this Iraqi dinar moves to the A list currency and I can come into the bank. Let's go over this. So I want to let everybody know I'm not a financial advisor and I'm only sharing my exchange plan with you. That's important that everybody knows this, okay? Sure. And you should always seek a professional advisor, CPA, when making any financial decisions. That's common. It's no brainer, guys. Mm-hmm. So after monitoring the currency, monitoring Forex, and we finally see a positive number over 1 cent, right? Because that's going to make everybody excited.
Very excited.
Like I said, I'm going to go to the biggest bank I can find along my way, whether it's Wells Fargo, Bank of America, HSBC, my own bank, Fifth Third, whatever is going to be this large bank that I see on my way. I'm going to call them. I'm going to find out if they're exchanging. If they're exchanging, I'm going to take myself into the bank. I'm going to bring one note and a proof of my purchase of that note if available, or currency if available. Some people have gotten it as gifts. Okay, still show up with your note and just let them know. If you only have one of them, that would make sense. If you have 50 or 40 of them, that might not make so much sense with the banker. If you got, but you'll have to just deal with that when you get there. I will have all my documents needed to open up an account, right? Because we can't show up to the bank to open up an account without our driver's license, without things that we need. So I'm going to have 2 forms of my government license, whether it's the government license with the star in it, a passport, maybe you work for the city, maybe you have a work ID badge. I'm going to bring something that proves that I am me and this is my currency. Okay. I'm going to bring 2 forms of my address. Okay. 2 pieces of paper or mail that has come in, whether it's a bank form or whether it's a insurance bill or something. I'm going to bring 2 forms that says I live here. I am a citizen. I live in this. This is it making sense? I'm going to open up this account. You know, we have to make sense with it. I'm going to bring the currency. Don't forget your currency. Okay. I'm going to bring in 2 ink pens, blue. Why blue? Well, because when you sign something, you want to take your original copy with you. If you sign in black ink, how would you know that's the original copy, right? So I sign in blue ink, and I always bring 2 ink pens everywhere I go. Even got 2 ink pens right here sitting.
All right.
I may bring in my computer or I may not on the first day. Okay. Because the first day, depending on if they're all revalued, I'll probably bring in my, it was a global currency reset. I'm going to bring my computer just so that way I can keep up with the numbers. I have a group on Telegram under Newsroom. You can click on there and it shows you a direct link to another chat where I have put all the files that I think that I'm going to need for my exchange. Now, everybody's free to download them and use them and adjust them to their names and everything. And they can, start their process of being organized. And this is one thing I will not be doing. Okay. So I see the dinar revalue on the CBI. Okay. And then I check Forex and then I call the bank and they're revaluing. Okay. Then I check for the Zimbabwe or one of the other currencies and they're not revaluing yet. Okay. I would not volunteer any other information about any other currency unless I have done my diligence to make sure that they're exchanging. So that way my bank guy, the teller, does not get confused. And I don't look like, I don't look intelligent asking about a B-list currency, you know? So, because I want them to take me serious.
Right. You know what? Exactly.
Okay. So I will open up an account with each currency separately. So if I have dinar, I'm going to open up an international dinar account. If I have the dong, I'm going to open up an international Vietnamese dong account. Okay. So I'm going to open up separate accounts.
Yeah.
Okay. I will collect all my documents that I signed in blue ink and I'll take it with me and I'm going to put it in my 3-ring binder. So I'm very organized and I have 2 things I'm organized with. One is my PBA folder, my personal banking assistant folder. This is what I want them to do with my money the first 10 days. I'm not keeping this. I'm giving it to my banker. So whatever you put in here, you're giving it away to the person that you want to delegate your information to. So I'm not going to put it in here. But I'm going to bring my documents home and I'm going to put them in my black binder for safekeeping. Okay. Because I want to be organized and I always want to have the original documents of what I signed on day 1.
Exactly.
Okay? Because again, whether it's a contract, whatever it is, I need to make sure that I can always reference back to it and my law team and my CPAs can always go over. Okay. For in case there's anything that needs to be dealt with. Okay. And I will ask my banker on that day that if he could kindly give me a call when the dinar, we're thinking about the dinar right now, okay? If the dinar has a higher rate in a few days and that I have more where this comes from and that if he will give me a call, I'll, throw him a little blessing to the side. You know what I mean? That is going to gain a relationship with my banker. We're going to become friends because he's going to be excited, right? And he's going to be wanting to look at this rate because I'm in here. He knows that I'm in here. He knows that the rate's probably going to fluctuate up and down. And he's going to want to get me that best rate because you know what? He might need to pay his house payment and is behind also. You know what I mean? And so whatever the situation is. So I will use a strategic plan to set up an appointment with my banker to offer a blessing. It's a friendly gesture and a way to make a close relationship with my new banker that I don't really know because I stopped at the first bank along the way.
Chella?
I'm sorry, what?
Kind of
under the table.
give him a hug and
and slip him a
one of those things.
So we're not going to be bribing him. We're just going to simply give him a blessing for his work,
Just not gonna say anything about it. We're not going to make a big deal about it. I get you.
Yeah,
So-
it's simple. Okay. And
Okay.
so when you do this, you are going to be basically, building a relationship with that banker. And if that banker calls me, then I'm going to continue on with the blessing. But if I have to do the work myself, I'm going to opt out of giving him that blessing. Okay.
Right.
So, and that's very important that people know that, because not everybody thinks they got to give something away. You got to tip the guy, tip the doorman, tip but the bank is already going to ding, 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 ding with all the services that you may need after your exchange. So keep that in mind. I will know my banker's name. I'm going to take his card and I'm going to memorize his face or her face. And I will return back with my remaining currencies. And that's when I will bring my banking assistant folder, because at that point, I will have been bringing back all my dinars, all my different currencies that are going to exchange. And this folder will let them know for the first 10 days how I would like to delegate that money. And that's where you're going to play house at. And I call this my play house folder for when I revalue. So I'm already working on this. And a lot of people are strategically getting ready because, if they do a global currency reset, we're going to see a housing bubble. It's going to be great for the housing market, but then we're going to see a bubble because everybody's got money to go buy this new distribution of wealth, So that's why I play house with this folder, and that's what I'll be giving them. And most of everything in this folder, which you can also find those files in my chat, in the Open Chat EDU or Open EDU 101 chat. That's what I named it, simple. But you can go in there and you basically put, okay, I need a new car. I need this. You got to get back and forth to make all these appointments or whatever. The only thing that really changes is my house, because obviously a lot of us have been waiting a long time to revalue the currency, right? So some of those houses sell. So I use a Post-it note. And I play house and I find my little house and I put it on there and I just keep switching my Post-it note out as that one gets sold. I'm realistic, And then I also have my 3-ring binder. And like I said, that's where I keep all of my documents on everything to stay organized and so forth like that. So
awesome. What do you think about taxes? That's fabulous.
Okay. So with taxes, I always recommend having, a certified tax accountant. And even just, ask your bank for one. Your bank also has one at the bank that they can refer you to. Your own personal banks, if you don't already have one. But I think that moving forward, if they have Gasara, we are looking at them doing away with the tax. But do we have proof and documents to this yet? No. So I have to plan accordingly with taxes because we're a part of the tax system now.
Right. Because we're a part of the, I want everybody to hear what she just said. We're a part of the tax system now, which means that we still got to do it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Until they say otherwise, Yeah,
exactly.
Because we've already volunteered for the system. So now we're a part of the system we volunteered for.
Yeah. Now, here's the question, though, because you hear so many different angles with the tax. How's it taxed when it's currency and you're making an exchange? And then you hear, well, it's going to be long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains.
Any gains that you receive a part of the system that we're already attached to, you have to pay gains tax.
So if the dollar in and of itself, the United States dollar, we live in the United States, so if the dollar in and of itself were to be valued at $1, all of a sudden $10, would we have to pay gains on that, or would that just be the value that?
So when you invest in it, okay, you can do long-term investing. It's when you take the money and you put it back into the bank is when you actually have to pay the tax on it. So let's use CBDCs and, for example, cryptocurrencies. Because cryptocurrency and fiat currency is basically the same. It's both systems are the same. So to me, in my opinion, because I use them. Okay. So when I buy into the system, okay, and it's sitting there in an exchange, whether it's TD Ameritrade, whether it's a Coinbase or Uphold or, an exchange, a CBDC exchange, my money can be sitting in there for as long as I need it to be sitting in there. But as soon as I take the gains from it, you have to pay the tax on the gains. Right. That's when you pay. That's the year that you pay the gas. So say I invested in all this year, but I don't cash out until 10 years from now. I don't pay tax until 10 years from now.
Real quick,
Chella, I got you. So it's like you're just deferring it, like a deferred annuity or something. I got you.
Yep.
I get it.
Real quick again, can you give your Telegram channel out?
Yes, my Telegram channel is, so you go onto Newsroom and it's Newsroom Chella Smith is the channel. And then the folder, if you go into the pinned chat, it's Open EDU 101 chat. That's what it's called. And once you get in there, because you have to join that chat, and then once you get in there, you click on the title, and then it will give you, let me click on it so I can remember, and then it gives you members, media, files, and links. So simple. Click on the files and boom, everything's there, and you can just take it and drag it onto your computer.
Wow.
And then you can use something as free as LibreOffice to open everything, and you can put all of your information, what your family's name is, what your children's are. Let me go over some of the files real quick, and I'll just quickly run through them. I put a family office booklet in there. It's kind of older. It's from 2014, but there's some good stuff in there, like the top 25 trust and wealth management companies is in there. I thought that was really, really nice to have that. There's a post RV checklist. It's not exactly what you need. It's what we've come up with, things that we want to make sure we're aligned with after, because we're going to be so excited to go out and buy new cars, get new houses, got new CPAs, new advisors, that some of these things you may forget some of the things that's on this list. There's a bank concierge verification form. That is, let me just click on that real quick. That's just concierge services that you might want from your bank after putting this money into the bank, because every bank has perks. Whether you get free checking, whether or not you get a lower interest rate on a credit card, whatever it is, waived fees, free checks, free whatever. These are some of the things that you can ask for. There is there's a exchange affidavit. The reason that exchange affidavit's in there, so anything that they say to you verbally, they're going to give to you. Well, guess what you're going to do? You're going to take your little blue pen. You're going to give it to them. You're going to say, can you put this on my affidavit? And you're going to make them notarize it because it's a verbal promise.
That's
so
right.
There's one of those in there. There's a schedule of assets for anybody that has, like, they already know where they want their money to go to. Maybe they want so much to go to TD Ameritrade each month. Maybe some people want it to go to their personal bank, the corner bank once a month. Transitional staff arrangements. With that, it tells you different people that you may want to work with you depending on how much money you're exchanging in. I have a blank background check and I have a blank know your customer form. The reason that those are in there is because let me help you out for why they're in there. A lot of people is like, why is this in there? Well, it's in there for a reason. So when I get to the bank and I'm got my 3-ring binder out, because this is where I'm keeping all my stuff, inside of there, I can look at my know your customer form or my background check. And I have my list of the residents that I listed at, because I don't know them by heart in my head. Maybe I need my daughter's address or my son-in-law's address in Japan. Maybe I need some of these information. They're already there. So it's having that information easy access to, because you're trying to make this a smooth transition.
And you've got so many emotions going on, and your mind's going
Scattered.
Let me ask you this.
Exactly. That's really, really good.
Your opinion on this is there anything to these people that are like, hey, this is going to revalue at any second, so now you should buy this trust, and you need to have this trust in place before you do this? Should you be running out and getting some sort of trust on the front end for something that we don't have any type of indicator of when?
That's a great question. So I personally got a dummy trust, okay? One that I found on the internet. And you can get it from Staples Center. If you guys have a Staples Center or a Kinko's Copy, they usually sell forms in that state that you reside in that are just mandatory trust that you can start filling out. I put a dummy trust in there, okay? It's a trust template. The reason that I put this trust template in there is because everybody's like, I got to pay $100 and something or $500 for a trust, or I got to pay this, blah, blah, blah. Really? No, you don't. All you need is, you can look it up on the internet for first of all, not every state requires a trust. You need to figure out whether the state that you live in requires a trust or not, depending on how much money you're even putting in there. If you're putting $25,000 in there, well, we all know that banks don't require a trust for $25,000, but some states over $1 million, they do require a trust, right? Because they want you to be safe. If somebody comes and smacks you in a car, do you want them to be able to sue all of the money that you just got on your exchange? And they did it on purpose because they know you have money and they're trying to sue you. So the purpose of a trust is so that way you protect your funds. You get them out of your Social Security, first of all, and you put them in a protected place where you don't share people your trust name. Not everybody should be knowing your trust name. So there is a trust in there. It is a sample, and you can download it to your computer, put your information, and start gathering some of the information. Once you have it, it's just a sample. It's for you to start collecting the information, figure out who you're going to make as your successor, figure out who you're going to have as your benefits for in case if you pass away. Do you want the bank to keep your money and it to go into probate court? This is the reason for a trust. Let me explain. I fell into a coma. I lost my memory. I didn't have recognition when I woke up. Moving forward, then this was related medically to procedures I had. Procedure gone wrong. It can happen to anybody. You can get in a car accident and something happened to you. You can be allergic to medication. I had that happen to me and it gave me a stroke. I had a dystonic reaction. My head got messed up and I forgot I even had a banking account. My bank called me and said, "Hey, we haven't seen you. Is everything okay?" My actual bank called me and said that. And I was like, "Oh," they was like, "Well, your safety deposit box hasn't been paid for and we don't want it to go back." And wow, I have a safety deposit box. Oh, let me come to the bank. So I go there and they're like, "Well, you put everything in a trust. You had already set your accounts up. So that way if something," this is exactly the reason. I said, "Well, what would have happened if I hadn't done that?" They said it would have went into probate and your children would have had to, or whoever your next of kin would have had to fight for it. Well, I know of my mom, she personally had to deal with probate on her father's passing. And a lot of us in the chat has had to deal with a passing at some point or another, or will have to in the future. So it was a mess. It was a complete mess. My mom lived in a different state than her dad, and nobody in the state that her dad passed away in, it was a mess. So this helps protect your assets. So that way you can give them to whoever you want them to. But do you have to have it? No. The bank will be able to help accommodate you. Again, that's going to be ding, ding, ding from the assets that you put into the bank.
I got you.
But if you have a structured plan, right, then your money is basically protected.
Mm-hmm.
Cold down here.
No worries.
It's cold down here. I'm like, but that trust is there, so you guys can download one. You guys don't have to pay for anybody. This is it's just a dummy trust for you to start writing it in, or download to your computer, start typing in. Take that and say, "I need to have this officially put together," and they will take care of it. It's going to be way less, like $25 from there. In that area.
For those real quick. Please, everybody, take one quick second, hit the like button and the subscribe button, and make sure to go over to Chella's YouTube channel and subscribe to her channel right now.
So I want to also thank you, Chella, for your dedication and service. I mean, it's a lot, putting out all the work. So for those of you who are really, this is your thing, you know what I mean, and you just can't figure out what to do with it. I hope you have found value in this conversation with Chella, just really, like you said, pragmatically approaching how you should do it. Use a common sense approach. Use discernment. I'm like you. Don't give your shit to anybody. It should be, you know what I mean? It should be good, but, whatever you want to do, that's your own gig. Do it. Take what you want and throw the rest away. Mm-hmm. Chella, I want to thank you very much for your service. We do appreciate you. And
I love you guys.
And you know what, everybody? Wow. And I just want to say, so this is how you manifest, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so what this young lady is doing right now, we actually witnessed manifestation in action right now. I mean, the folders there, the writing of it there, the details there, her abundance, whether it comes from revaluations or whatever, is going to come true for her. Mm-hmm. Okay. It'll be there for her. BioVision state.
There you go.
BioVision state. So that will come true for her. So and
who has not asked not. So you make a plan of what you want, and you manifest that. That's I agree, right. Absolutely.
And check out her channel. She's definitely tapped and tuned into something. And for those of you, because we're still getting a lot of information, for those of you who do need to get your SIA orders in, and you're having a little trouble with the website, just contact us there. We'll help you out with that. And if you haven't tried it already, reach out and find out more about that. Chella, wow, much love to you. It's very nice to meet you here today.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you guys. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for all your audience and your viewers. You guys are awesome.
Oh, it was a pleasure. We look forward to
We'll
having
tell some
more
friends.
of Chella Smith.
Yes, anytime.
Thank you
You got it.
so
All right,
much.
everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. Again, visit our soul sister at her channel, see what goes on, and see how she can be of value to you in your life. And we'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Together, we're turning the universal key to global harmony and creating a unified world. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your beautiful DINAR dreams come true. Many blessings.